So the video you're just about to watch comes from one of my online preparation courses, either the theory preparation course, or teaching in pool and classroom, or the full IDC preparation course. There's lots more information in the link below, and there's also lots more information at the end of this video. Anyway, enjoy the video. I hope you learn from it, and I certainly hope to see you again soon. Thanks. Now we're going to talk about regulators. Why regulators? Well, I'm amazed at just how many questions in the equipment exam are about them. In fact, there seems to be so many regulator questions that just by answering them alone, you're probably going to pass the whole exam with flying colours. Now, you don't need to be an expert or a mechanic. You just need to know just enough to pass information on to others, and of course to pass an exam. And of course, if you want to if you've developed a deeper interest in them, you can always go on a servicing course, in which case then you'll be so much more valuable to any future employer. But first of all, let's talk about the first stage of the regulator. This is the whole bit with the hoses coming off here, and it's also the bit that connects to the cylinder. So you can see that this one is a DIN regulator, and this screws directly into the cylinder valve. So let's take a look at some of the questions that you might be asked about the first stage of a regulator. We've already talked about the fact that the DIN valve screws right into the cylinder valve. Now there might be a question regarding why this might be a good idea. And of course the answer to that question is because it provides a strong connection and also a better seal. Okay, so the real job of the first stage is to bring the high pressure cylinder pressure right down to the intermediate pressure, which is in these hoses. Now generally the intermediate pressure here is around 7 to 10 bar above surrounding pressure. So it's already brought the pressure down a long way from maybe say 200 bar in the cylinder to 7 to 10 bar in the hoses. But how does it do this? Well, inside this first stage there's either a diaphragm or a piston that adjusts according to pressure changes. It's a common question, but be careful because as soon as people see that word diaphragm, they often just associate it with the second stage and jump to the wrong conclusions, get the wrong answer. But this is about the diaphragm or the piston that's in the first stage. Now, to help prevent problems with that diaphragm or the piston with doing its job correctly, some regulators are fitted with an environmental seal. Now this environmental seal, it prevents contaminants from getting into the works, and it also helps protect against freezing. It prevents it from freezing up in cold water, which makes the regulator go into free flow. Now we can move on to the second stage and look at some of the questions that you might be asked about the second stage. So the function of the second stage is to bring that intermediate pressure down from a pressure that the diver can breathe. And that pressure would be, well, whatever pressure is surrounding the diver at the time, depending on what depth they're at. But how does this work? Well, as you breathe in, it sucks in that big diaphragm towards you. And this pushes a lever which opens a downstream valve. It's often aided by a pilot valve. Now both the downstream valve and the pilot valve are to be found here in the second stage. Now downstream, that means that the valve will open with the flow of air. And the reason why that's important in real life as well as in PADI questions is because if there was any malfunction, the valve would be stuck in the open position and then loads of gas will come out, it will go into free flow. Which would be opposed to it being the other way around and seizing up and starving you of any. Now this design of going into free flow is called fail-safe, a fail-safe design. Now all of these words on the board, they're likely to come up in PADI questions or answers. But as we found out, all of these actions of the regulator, all of that, it all starts with the diver breathing in. Breathing in through the mouthpiece here. Now when the diver does breathe in, they should only get dry gas. If there's any water that gets in their mouth, it's very likely that there's a split somewhere in this mouthpiece, or these lugs have broken off, one or the other. Now, I keep using the word gas instead of air. And the reason is because nearly all equipment is designed to be used up to 40% enriched air nitrox without any modification. Anything higher than 40% could create problems with oxidation, and that would need special equipment. Now, once the diver has breathed in, all of this takes place, and then when the diver then breathes out, all of the exhaust gas comes out of these valves and into the water. Now, it's the action of this expelled air bubbling away that gives the system the name open circuit. And that's opposed to a closed circuit rebreather that recycles the waste breath. Now, it's interesting to note that divers using open circuit, they normally use breath control to fine-tune their buoyancy. But closed circuit rebreather divers, they have to use their BCD inflation to fine-tune their buoyancy. Now, of course, one of the benefits of closed circuit is that the ratio of gases in the breathing mix remains constant. It remains the same throughout the whole dive. Sometimes there's questions about a balanced regulator. Now, the question normally asks what are the benefits of a balanced regulator? I mean, as opposed to a non-balanced regulator. And there's always three benefits, and they're all to do with the ease of breathing. A balanced regulator will be easier to breathe regardless of the cylinder pressure. So if it's easy to breathe when the cylinder's full, it'll be just as easy to breathe if it's nearly empty. The same with depth. If it's easy to breathe when you're near the surface, then it'll be just as easy at 30 metres or 100 feet. And the last and third benefit is to do with the alternate air source. A balance regulator will make breathing just as easy if one diver or two divers are breathing from it at the same time. Talking of alternate air sources, there are a couple of questions that sometimes trip people up. What you need to remember is that alternate air sources don't have to be yellow. They can be any colour. They don't have to come over the right-hand side. The only important thing about alternate air sources is they do have to be found in the triangle. In fact, some alternate air sources are combined with a diver's BCD inflator hose. And in this case, in the event of an out-of-air emergency, the diver should then have to breathe from this themselves and give their primary regulator to their buddy to breathe from. Okay, now at the beginning of this video, I told you that there are a lot of regulator questions in the equipment exam for PADI instructors. In this video, I've covered about 25 of those questions. Every time I've mentioned anything, it wasn't just idle chit-chat. Virtually every sentence was linked to one question or another that you might find on your exams. But to make sure you were listening, as usual, I've put a lot of questions in the next lesson. So good luck with those, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next video lesson. So welcome to the full IDC preparation course. I'm really excited about this program. The reason why I'm so excited is because it's absolutely jam-packed with all of my wonderful secrets that I teach throughout my whole IDC, which is of course why it's called the full IDC preparation course. So we'll have a little look. The screen we're looking at the moment is called your course player. This is going to become really familiar to you in the next few days. But let's have a look here on the left hand side and we'll find out what's involved down here. So down here we've got our theory topics: physics, physiology, equipment, diving skills, RDP, all that stuff. We'll have a little look a little bit deeper into those in a minute, but I want to talk to you a little bit more about what's in this program. So we scroll down a bit here, we've got PADI standards and procedures right up to date. You can see the very latest version based on this year's PADI instructor manual. And then when we go down here, we've got some really exciting stuff, teaching in confined water. So this is how to make your confined water teaching presentations really effective and, more importantly, really relevant to your students right from the very start. It's a very powerful way of teaching, I'm going to show you here. Perfect for the real world, of course, but it's also really good for IDCs, and it's great for PADI instructor exams as well. So loads of powerful stuff in there. And scrolling down a little bit further, right down to the bottom, teaching in the classroom. Here, I often get asked, I find people on PADI IDCs, they're really not too sure how to structure teaching in the classroom. It's easier than you think, but it needs to be entertaining. It needs to be full of relevant stuff for your students. And in here, I'll explain how all that works. So let's go right back up to the beginning again and look at these theory topics. Let's see what's in here. We'll pick physics for an example. It's always everyone's favourite, isn't it, physics? So we click on physics and we find that physics is broken down into different subjects here. We'll pick on any one of them. Let's pick on, I don't know, effects of pressure. We'll have a look at effects of pressure. And here we see there's a video playing. So it's a lesson. It's going to last for 15 minutes. It shows you here. I'm going to stop the video. So we're in control. We can stop it, start it. We can get rid of this panel on the left-hand side by clicking these 2 arrows up here if we want to. Bring it back again. Of course, we've always got full screen, so you can put full screen on, sit back with a cup of coffee and just listen to the whole thing. Gives you, a lot more information. And then what happens, also you've got down here is complete and continue button if you want to, and that will stop the video and take you on to the next lesson. And after all of these lessons, the next lesson always is a quiz of what you've just heard, just to make sure you fully understand it. So here we've got like a question up here, very PADI type question, worded in the way that PADI would word questions. And just like PADI exams, 4 different answers that you can choose from. Find out which one is the one that you think is best suited. And just like on PADI exams, but not like on PADI exams, is if we just pick let's just pick one answer that's the wrong one and click on confirm. We find out it's the wrong answer, but not only that, not only will it tell you what the right answer is, but it will tell you why. So it will give you tips and advice where you've gone wrong to help you succeed. So all of the theory lessons are very similar to this. If we work down, loads of RDP questions, loads of diving skills and environment stuff, loads of videos on there to help you if you're not too sure of how all that stuff worked. When you've done all the theory, gone down here, what we can do then is, if you want to at this stage, go to the final mock theory exams. And here we find right up-to-date theory questions here, all based on like the latest questions that PADI are asking on their exams. So here we've got PADI theory mock exam A. We go all the way A, B, C, D, and E, 2022 version. As you can see, all of the questions where relevant are in metric and imperial, so it's really great for anybody, or for everybody, I should say. And then the format and the content of these exams is the same as you'll find on your final PADI IE. The wording's not the same. The wording of the questions aren't the same. That's not the objective of this. It's not to tell you what the questions are going to be. It's just so that you can understand the theory, and not only understand it, but that you can teach it to other people as well. It's another objective of this course, really. Then once you've done the mock exams, you can go to the answer key here, and you can check your answers. And clearly, if you've got some wrong, you don't understand them, or you've forgotten, you can go back to the lessons and catch yourself up again. So you can work at your own speed, your own pace, and it's fun working through it this way. Then we've got PADI standards and procedures. Again, we've got, these are all based on this year's PADI instructor manual, so right bang up to date with the new programs that PADI have introduced this year. They're all in here, so you can teach yourself and work your way around the PADI instructor manual. Loads of questions. There's 50 questions, 5 exams here. Each one's got 50 questions on it. Exactly the same format, exactly the same content as the ones you'll find on your final PADI instructor exam. Once you've done those, you can have a look at your answers. You can check them with your answers. So here I've just gone to PADI Standards Mock Exam E, for example, answers. And here you can check your answers, see if you've got the right ones or not. But of course, a standard exam isn't really to do with your knowledge of standards. It's do you know where to find the standards in your instructor manual? PADI call it an open book. You can have your instructor manual with you when you take the exam, and what you really need to do is know where to find the answers in the manual. And to help you there, in this answers document, we've got all of the questions that we've asked before, but not only have we given you the correct answer, but also the page in the current instructor manual as to where you'll find the answer. So you can go back to the instructor manual and find out where to find the answer. So that's standards and theory dealt with. When we go to confined water, this is brilliant stuff here. So teaching in confined water, understanding your students. This really is good, finding out how your students learn, the psychology behind the students, or behind the way that you can teach your students. Or actually, I prefer to word it a different way. The psychology, not the way that you teach it, but the way that they learn it. So we've got like subjects on there, like on psychology, positive coaching, which is a really fantastic way of teaching people, correcting mistakes. And it gives empowerment to your students. It gives them ownership of their own learning, and it gives them empowerment as to the judge of the success is down to the student. So really it is the next thing here, student-centered training. It truly is explaining how we can make our teaching student-centered rather than instructor-centered. And when you start doing that, it's amazing how quickly students learn and how effectively they pick things up right from the beginning. Once again, this is perfect for IDCs and perfect for IEs as well. And of course, really perfect for the real world as well. Teaching in the classroom, I've already explained. It really does explain to you what we need to achieve in the classroom to get your students, in the right direction, and being able to understand and probably relate different subjects to each other. So lots more than that in the program. It's really full of fun. I'm really looking forward to working with you through this. And please, why don't you join our Facebook page? We've got the Prior Knowledge Family Facebook page. If you join that, then you can let me know how you're getting on with this program. So I'm really looking forward to the future with you. Thanks now.